What if the way you speak to yourself in the first few moments of your day is shaping everything that follows? What if confidence is not something far away, not something only a few people are born with, not something you have to earn after years of struggle, but something you can begin to feel right here, right now, by changing the words you say inside your own heart? So many people wake up and begin the day already carrying weight. Before the body is fully awake, the mind is already busy. It starts listing problems, remembering fear, repeating old doubt, and whispering the same tired story again and again. It says, "You are not ready." It says, "You are not enough." It says, "Today will be hard." It says you must prove yourself before you can feel peace. And before the sun has fully risen, the day begins under a shadow that never needed to be there. But today can begin differently. Today can begin with a softer voice. Today can begin with truth. Today can begin with a moment so small you could miss it if you were not paying attention, yet so powerful that it can change the way you walk, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, and the way you meet every part of this day. Confidence does not always arrive with noise. It does not always look bold from the outside. It does not always enter like thunder. Very often, confidence begins as a quiet decision, a simple inner choice, a soft but steady moment where you stop repeating the language of fear and begin speaking to yourself with trust. There is a reason your inner voice matters so much. The words you say to yourself are not empty. They are not small. They are not passing thoughts that disappear without meaning. Your words carry energy. They shape your mood. They shape your body. They shape your choices. They shape what you expect from life. If your first thoughts in the morning are filled with pressure, shame, and doubt, and then your whole system begins the day preparing for struggle. But if your first thoughts are filled with calm, kindness, and strength, then something inside you begins to rise. The body softens. The breath becomes deeper. The heart feels safer. The mind becomes clearer. And suddenly, the day is no longer something to survive. It becomes something you are ready to meet. Confidence is not about pretending that fear does not exist. It is not about acting perfect. It is not about forcing yourself to feel strong every second. Real confidence is much gentler than that. Real confidence is the choice to stand by yourself even when you do not feel perfect. It is the choice to speak to yourself with respect even when old doubt tries to return. It is the choice to believe that you are still worthy, still capable, still enough, even if your voice shakes, even if your heart is healing, even if you are still growing. Confidence says, "I do not need to have all the answers to trust myself." Confidence says, "I do not need to become someone else to deserve peace." Confidence says, "I can begin where I am." Many people have been taught to think of confidence in the wrong way. They think confidence means never feeling uncertain. They think confidence belongs only to those who appear strong, polished, and fearless. They think confidence is for the people who always know what to say, always know what to do, and never seem to question themselves. But that is not true. Confidence is not perfection. Confidence is permission. It is the permission to take up space in your own life. It is the permission to trust your inner value. It is the permission to move through the day without making war with yourself. Think of how many people have spent years waiting to feel ready before they begin living with confidence. They tell themselves that one day, when they look different, they will believe in themselves. One day, when they achieve more, they will trust themselves. One day, when they stop making mistakes, they will finally speak kindly to themselves. But that day never comes through waiting. It comes through practice. It comes through choosing new thoughts. It comes through deciding that the way you speak to yourself will no longer be ruled by old fear. Confidence grows when you feed it. It grows when you speak to it. It grows when you stop starving yourself of your own support. There is such power in the morning because the day is still open. The mind is listening. The heart is listening. The body is listening. The first thoughts you think are like seeds placed into the soil of your day. If you plant fear, fear will grow. If you plant self-doubt, self-doubt will spread. If you plant pressure, your whole day will feel heavy. But if you plant trust, trust begins to rise. If you plant calm, calm begins to move through you. If you plant confidence, even gently, even quietly, that confidence begins to shape the hours ahead. This is why the words you say in the morning matter more than you may realize. If you begin the day with, "I am behind," then your mind starts looking for proof. If you begin with, "I am not good enough," then every little challenge feels bigger. If you begin with, "I cannot handle today," then your energy becomes smaller before the day has even begun. But what happens if you begin with, "I am ready for this day"? What happens if you begin with, "I trust myself"? What happens if you begin with, "I am enough as I am, and I can meet this day with peace"? That changes everything. It changes the way you hold your shoulders. It changes the way you look at your reflection. It changes the way you answer your own doubts. It changes the way you step into the world. You do not need a perfect life to begin speaking confidence into your day. You do not need a perfect past. You do not need a perfect mood. You do not need to wait until all fear is gone. You can begin now, in the middle of your real life, with your real heart, with your real feelings, with your real hopes and your real uncertainty. You can begin by changing the voice inside. You can begin by choosing not to speak against yourself. You can begin by becoming a place of support for your own spirit. There are days when confidence may feel natural. and there are days when it may feel far away. There are mornings when it may come easily, and there are mornings when it may feel like the last thing your heart believes. But that does not mean it is not there. It only means it needs your attention. It needs your kindness. It needs your willingness. Confidence is not always a feeling you wait for. Many times, it is a truth you choose before the feeling arrives. You speak it first. You practice it first. You make room for it first. And then slowly, gently, honestly, it begins to feel more real. The beautiful thing is that confidence does not ask you to become harder. It asks you to become more rooted. It asks you to come home to yourself. It asks you to stop giving all your power to old fear. It asks you to stop building your day on thoughts that weaken you. It asks you to remember that your voice matters, especially the voice you use inside your own mind. That inner voice becomes the atmosphere you live in. It becomes the air you breathe through your thoughts. If that voice is harsh, your day feels tight. If that voice is kind, your day begins to open. So let this be the beginning of something new. Not a performance, not pressure, not another demand to become someone else. Let this be the beginning of a gentler strength. Let this be the moment you understand that confidence is not outside of you. It is not hiding in the future. It is not waiting for permission from the world. It is already within you, waiting for your own voice to call it forward, waiting for you to stop speaking fear into your morning, waiting for you to stop agreeing with doubt, waiting for you to say, maybe today I can trust myself a little more. Maybe today I can walk with a little more peace. Maybe today I can stop fighting who I am and begin standing with myself. And the moment you do that, something shifts. It may be quiet, it may be subtle, but it is real. Your heart feels less alone. Your thoughts feel less sharp. Your breath feels less trapped. A small light begins to rise in you. Not because the whole world changed, but because the voice inside you changed. Because you chose not to begin the day by abandoning yourself. Because you chose not to make fear the first language of your morning. Because you chose to speak confidence into your day, and in doing so, you began to return to your own strength. Let this truth settle into you now. The way you speak to yourself matters. The way you begin your morning matters. The thoughts you repeat become the shape of your inner life. So if you want a different day, begin with a different voice. If you want more peace, speak peace to yourself. If you want more strength, speak strength to yourself. If you want more confidence, begin by giving yourself the words that make confidence possible. Words of trust, words of worth, words of calm, words that remind you that you are not weak for needing encouragement. You are wise for giving it to yourself. This day does not need you to be perfect. It does not need you to be fearless. It does not need you to know every answer before you begin. It only needs you to enter it without turning against yourself. It only needs you to remember that belief begins in the language you choose. It only needs you to understand that every morning is a doorway, and the words you carry through that doorway shape what kind of day you are stepping into. So before anything else, before the noise of the world has its say, before old habits have the chance to lead again, before fear speaks louder than truth, choose this moment. Choose this breath. Choose this new beginning. Let your first inner words be words that build you, not break you. Let them steady your spirit. Let them remind you who you are. Let them become the ground beneath your feet as you move into this day, not with force, not with pressure, but with a quiet, growing certainty that you can trust yourself more than you have been taught to believe. There is no need to wait. The day has already begun, and so can you. Not as someone pretending to be strong, but as someone remembering that strength can be soft. Not as someone hiding fear, but as someone choosing not to bow to it. Not as someone trying to impress the world, but as someone finally learning to stand beside their own heart. That is where confidence begins. That is where the day changes. That is where your life begins to move in a new direction, one thought at a time, one breath at a time, one gentle, powerful word at a time. Take a slow breath now and let this moment become real. Not the next moment, not the worries waiting later in the day, not the things you still need to do, not the conversations that may happen, not the old thoughts trying to pull you backward. Just this moment, this breath, this small, quiet space where you are still here, still breathing, still alive, still able to begin again. Place your hand over your heart if that feels good to you, and just notice for a moment that your heart is already working for you. It has been beating through every season of your life, through every doubt, through every hard morning, through every moment when you forgot your own worth. It never stopped. It never gave up on you. And maybe right now, before anything else, that is enough reason to soften. You do not have to rush into this day. You do not have to begin with pressure. You do not have to prove your value before breakfast. You do not have to solve your whole life in the first hour of the morning. Let your shoulders drop a little. Let your jaw soften. Let your breath move more slowly. Let your body hear the message that it is safe to be here. So often, the body wakes up carrying stress before the mind even understands why. The breath gets shallow. The chest gets tight. The thoughts start running. And without meaning to, the day begins in alarm. But you can change that. You can give yourself a different start. You can let your body know that this day does not have to begin in fear. Breathe in slowly through your nose and imagine drawing in peace. Not perfect peace, not a distant peace, just enough peace for this moment. Enough peace to settle your chest, enough peace to quiet the noise a little, enough peace to help you remember that this day belongs to you too. And as you breathe out, let go of what you do not need to hold right now. Breathe out the pressure to be everything at once. Breathe out the old voice that says you are not doing enough. Breathe out the heavy feeling that tells you the day is too much before it has even begun. You do not have to carry all of that into this moment. You are allowed to begin lighter. The present moment is more powerful than most people realize. It may seem small, but it is where all real change begins. Not in yesterday, not in tomorrow, not in imagined futures or repeated regrets. The point of power is always now. This breath is where you can choose again. This moment is where you can speak differently to yourself. This is where you can stop the old pattern before it carries you away. The present moment does not ask you to fix everything. It only asks you to return. Return to your breath. Return to your body. Return to your awareness. Return to the simple truth that right now, in this moment, you can choose peace over panic. You can choose kindness over criticism. You can choose trust over old fear. Feel the place where your body meets the chair, the bed, or the floor beneath you. Let yourself notice that you are supported. Even now, something is holding you. You do not have to hold yourself up all alone. The ground is here. The breath is here. Life is here. And maybe that is one of the deepest truths you can remember at the start of the day. You are not floating without support. You are not standing alone in a cold world with no place to rest. You are held in more ways than you notice. The morning light holds you. The steady rhythm of breath holds you. The quiet wisdom inside you holds you. Life itself is still moving through you, still giving you another day, still inviting you to begin again. Let your eyes soften if they are open. If they are closed, let the darkness behind them feel gentle instead of empty. You are not here to force calm. You are here to allow it. You are not here to fight your thoughts. You are here to step back from them. Thoughts may still move through your mind, and that is all right. You do not have to chase them. You do not have to believe every one of them. You do not have to answer every fear that appears. Let the thoughts pass like clouds. Let them move through without turning them into truth. Come back to the breath. Come back to the hand on your heart. Come back to the present moment where everything is quieter than fear wants you to believe. There is something deeply healing about beginning the day this way. Not with noise, not with speed, not with the world pulling at you from every side, but with stillness, with a pause, with a moment that belongs only to you. In this space, you can hear yourself more clearly. In this space, your spirit can breathe. In this space, Your confidence has room to rise because fear is no longer shouting over everything else. This pause is not a waste of time. It is not laziness. It is not delay. It is alignment. It is wisdom. It is the choice to begin your day from the inside out, instead of letting the outside world decide your state of mind before you have even checked in with your own heart. So many people wake up and immediately enter reaction. They reach for noise. They reach for distraction. They reach for the list of everything that is missing or unfinished. Their body never has a chance to settle. Their heart never has a chance to speak. Their soul never has a chance to lead. But you do not have to live that way. You can build a new kind of morning. A morning where your first moments are not handed over to chaos. A morning where you remember that peace can come before activity. A morning where your first relationship is with yourself, with your breath, with your presence, with the quiet truth that you are allowed to begin this day in calm. Maybe your mind still wants to run ahead. Maybe part of you is already thinking about what could go wrong, what needs to be done, what you should have figured out by now. That is all right. Just notice it. Notice it with kindness. And then ask yourself to come back. Come back to this breath. Come back to this body. Come back to this morning. You do not need to live the whole day right now. You only need to meet this moment. And when you can meet this moment with steadiness, the next moment becomes easier, and then the next. This is how peace grows. This is how confidence grows. Not always in one huge change, but in gentle returns to the present. Say softly within yourself, I am here. Let those words settle into you. I am here, not lost in the future, not trapped in the past. I am here. And then say, I am safe in this moment. Even if you do not fully feel it yet, let the words be a place to rest. I am safe in this moment. There is so much healing in allowing the body to hear those words. Safety is what the nervous system has been searching for. Safi, Eri is what helps the breath deepen. Safety is what allows confidence to rise. Because when you feel even a little safer inside yourself, you do not need to brace against the day in the same way. Now say to yourself, I do not need to rush. Let that be your permission. Let that be your release. You do not need to rush into fear. You do not need to rush into self-doubt. You do not need to rush into proving. You do not need to rush into becoming someone else before the day begins. You can arrive slowly. You can enter this day as you are. You can let your thoughts settle before you decide what kind of energy you want to carry. This is how you begin with intention instead of reaction. This is how you become less available for fear and more available for peace. Feel your breath again. Inhale slowly. Exhale gently. The breath is simple, but it carries so much wisdom. The breath reminds you that life is still moving through you. It reminds you that you are connected to something steady. It reminds you that no matter how busy the world gets, you can always return here. You can always come back to this quiet doorway inside yourself, a place where your thoughts do not have to control you, a place where your worth does not need to be questioned, a place where the day can begin with trust instead of tension. There is no need to get this perfect. If your mind wanders, return. If your chest feels tight, breathe. If old fear rises, do not fight it. Just come back. Come back to the hand on your heart. Come back to the words, I am here. Come back to the feeling of being supported. Come back to the present moment, where so much more is possible than fear ever admits. Presence is not about having no thoughts. It is about remembering that you are more than your thoughts. It is about choosing where your attention lives. It is about deciding that this morning will not belong only to old habits. It can belong to a new way of being. As you stay here for a few more breaths, let yourself feel that something is already changing. Maybe the change is small. Maybe it is just a little more space in your chest. Maybe it is just one less layer of pressure. Maybe it is just the sense that you do not have to attack the day in order to survive it. That is enough. Small shifts matter. A softened breath matters. A gentler thought matters. A calmer beginning matters. These things may seem quiet, but they are powerful. They create the inner ground from which your whole day will grow. So remain here just a little longer in this sacred pause. Let this be a moment where you remember that your energy is precious, your attention is precious, your first thoughts are precious. You do not have to give them away to fear. You do not have to begin the day already at war with yourself. You can begin here, in stillness, in breath, in presence, in a kind and honest return to your own heart. And from this place, whatever comes next will meet a different version of you, a more grounded version, a more peaceful version, a version that did not abandon itself at the door of the day. This moment matters because it reminds you that calm is available, not somewhere far away, not only after everything is fixed. Calm is available now, in the breath you are taking, in the stillness you are allowing, in the simple choice to begin the day with awareness. Confidence needs this kind of beginning. Confidence grows where there is presence. Confidence rises where the heart feels heard. Confidence becomes possible when you stop rushing past yourself and start meeting yourself with care. So stay here in this truth a little longer. You are here. You are breathing. You are supported. You are allowed to move slowly enough to hear your own spirit. You are allowed to start the day with peace. And from this grounded place, a new kind of confidence can begin to speak. Confidence is not force. It is not pressure. It is not pretending to be fearless when your heart still feels tender. It is not speaking the loudest in the room. It is not acting as if you never question yourself. It is not building a hard shell and calling that strength. Real confidence is softer than that, deeper than that, and far more peaceful than most people have been taught to believe. Real confidence is trust. It is inner steadiness. It is the quiet knowing that you do not need to attack yourself in order to grow. It is the gentle choice to believe that you are enough to begin, enough to try, enough to speak, enough to show up, enough to live this day without apologizing for your own existence. Many people confuse confidence with perfection. They think confidence belongs to those who never make mistakes, those who always know what to say, those who appear certain in every moment. They believe that confidence will finally come after they become more successful, more polished, more admired, more healed, more accepted. But if you wait for perfection before you allow yourself confidence, you will keep pushing your peace further away. Confidence does not come after you become flawless. Confidence begins when you stop using your flaws as proof that you do not deserve trust. There is such freedom in understanding this. Confidence is not a reward for becoming someone else. It is a relationship with who you are now. It is the way you stand beside yourself. It is the way you answer your own doubts. It is the way you treat yourself when life feels uncertain. If your idea of confidence is based only on appearances, then it will always feel fragile. It will rise when others praise you and fall when they do not. It will feel strong on easy days and disappear on hard ones. But true confidence has deeper roots. It does not depend fully on what happens outside of you. It begins inside. It grows from self-trust. It grows from self-respect. It grows from the decision that your value will not be questioned every time life becomes uncomfortable. Think of how often people try to force confidence. They straighten their posture, change their voice, act stronger than they feel, and hope that if they look confident enough, they will become confident inside. Sometimes that can help a little. But the deeper work is not in a performance. It is in the inner language. Because if the outside says one thing while the inside says another, the conflict remains. A person can look calm while being full of self-doubt. A person can appear strong while quietly fighting themselves all day long. A person can sound certain while living with fear inside. That is why confidence is not first about appearance. It is first about agreement. It is about your inner voice learning to stand with you instead of against you. Confidence says, I trust myself to meet this moment. That is very different from saying I must control everything. Confidence says, I can handle what comes with grace. That is very different from saying, I must know every answer before I begin. Confidence says, I am allowed to be seen as I am. That is very different from saying, I must be perfect before I deserve space. Real confidence does not tighten you. It does not make you harder. It opens you. It allows you to breathe more deeply. It gives you permission to stop wasting so much energy trying to hide your humanity. This is why confidence and peace belong together. Confidence is not only a bold feeling, it is a peaceful state. It is the peace of not arguing with your own worth all day long. It is the peace of not treating every mistake as proof that you are failing at life. It is the peace of knowing that growth does not require self-hate. It is the peace of understanding that you can be learning and still be worthy, healing and still be powerful, uncertain and still be enough. When confidence is rooted in peace, it becomes stable. It is no longer something you wear like a costume. It becomes something you live from. Many people live with a false idea that confidence must be loud. But some of the deepest confidence is quiet. Quiet confidence is the ability to make a choice without begging the whole world to approve it. Quiet confidence is the ability to keep going even when you are not getting constant praise. Quiet confidence is the ability to honor your own voice even when old fear says, stay small. Quiet confidence is the ability to be gentle with yourself without becoming weak. In fact, gentleness is often a sign of great inner strength. A person who can speak kindly to themselves in a hard moment is not weak. A person who can hold their own heart with patience is not weak. A person who can begin again without cruelty is showing a kind of strength that force can never create. So let us release the old idea that confidence means never shaking. Let us release the old idea that confidence means never being afraid. Let us release the old idea that confidence belongs only to those who fit some image of success or power. Confidence can live in a soft voice. Confidence can live in a healing heart. Confidence can live in the person who is still learning, still growing, still finding their way. Confidence simply asks that you stop making your imperfections mean you are unworthy of trust. There is another misunderstanding people often carry. They think confidence means doing everything alone. They think that if they need support, if they need encouragement, if they need rest, they are not truly strong. But that is not confidence. That is pressure wearing the mask of strength. Real confidence does not fear support. Real confidence knows that worth is not lost because you need care. Real confidence knows that asking for help does not make you smaller. Real confidence knows that confidence and tenderness can live in the same heart. You can be strong and still need quiet. You can believe in yourself and still have healing to do. You can trust your path and still move slowly. Confidence also does not mean controlling every outcome. In fact, one of the deepest forms of confidence is trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in life. Trust that you can meet what comes. Trust that even if things do not happen the exact way you expected, you are still capable of responding with wisdom. Fear says, control everything or you will fall apart. Confidence says, breathe, stay present, and trust that you will know what to do when the moment arrives. Fear says, you must guarantee the future before you can feel safe. Confidence says, I can be here now without needing all the answers first. This changes the whole experience of the day. When confidence is based on performance, the day feels like a test. Every conversation becomes pressure. Every task becomes proof. Every mistake becomes a wound to identity. But when confidence is based on trust, the day becomes something different. It becomes a place to show up honestly, a place to practice, a place to learn, a place to move with more ease. You stop living as if every moment is deciding your value. You begin living from the understanding that your value is already here. And from that place, your choices become freer. Your breath becomes fuller. Your energy becomes more open. Confidence is also not about becoming someone louder than your truth. It is not about copying the energy of others. It is not about wearing a personality that does not fit your spirit. So many people have been told that confidence looks only one way. But confidence has many forms. It can look bold, yes. But it can also look calm. It can look quiet. It can look thoughtful. It can look steady. It can look like a person who speaks simply and means what they say. It can look like a person who no longer shrinks in apology for taking up their rightful space. It can look like someone who walks gently, but no longer questions whether they deserve to be where they are. The most beautiful kind of confidence is often the kind that frees you from self-attack. The kind that says, I do not need to insult myself into becoming better. I do not need to tear myself down in order to grow. I do not need fear as my teacher. I can learn through love. I can change through kindness. I can rise through truth. That kind of confidence does not burn you out. It heals you. It helps you become more whole instead of more defended. It makes space for the best parts of you to come forward, not through pressure, but through permission. And maybe this is the reframe your heart has been needing. Maybe confidence is not a thing you have been failing to reach. Maybe confidence has simply been waiting to be understood in a softer way. Waiting to be separated from pressure. Waiting to be freed from the false idea that it must be perfect, loud, or hard. Waiting for you to realize that confidence can begin with one quiet decision. I will not speak to myself like an enemy today. I will not begin this morning by making myself small. I will not demand perfection before I allow peace. I will trust that I am enough to take the next step. This kind of confidence grows through repetition. It grows every time you answer self-doubt with kindness. It grows every time you choose a new thought instead of repeating the old cruel one. It grows every time you speak to yourself with respect. It grows when you stop turning every fear into a fact. It grows when you let your value remain steady, even on the days when your feelings are not. Confidence is built in small moments. small inner moments that may not look dramatic from the outside, but change everything on the inside. You may still have days where doubt appears. You may still feel uncertain at times. You may still hear the old voice now and then. That does not mean confidence is gone. It simply means you are human. Confidence is not the absence of fear. It is your relationship to fear. It is your ability to hear the old voice without handing it full control. It is your ability to stay with yourself instead of abandoning yourself the moment things feel hard. It is your ability to say, yes, I feel this, but I do not need to become it. I can still trust myself here. So let this new truth become part of you. Confidence is peace. Confidence is trust. Confidence is not a performance. It is not a fight. It is not a hard shell you build to protect your worth. It is the quiet understanding that your worth never needed that kind of protection to begin with. It is the steady love that says, I am still with myself. It is the calm that says, I can meet this day. It is the softness that says, I do not need to become harsh in order to become strong. And as you move through this day, remember this new meaning. Confidence is not about becoming someone else. It is about returning to yourself, returning to your breath, returning to your truth, returning to a way of thinking that no longer tears you apart, returning to the deep and healing knowing that you can believe in yourself without being perfect, trust yourself without having all the answers, and move through the day with strength that is calm, gentle, and real. The words you speak to yourself in the morning are not small. They are not harmless. They are not just passing thoughts that fade away without leaving anything behind. They become the feeling of your day. They become the mood you carry into your work, your home, your conversations, and your choices. They shape how you see yourself, how you respond to pressure, how you walk into a room, and how you recover when something does not go the way you hoped. Before the world even speaks to you, your own inner voice has already begun setting the tone. That is why your words matter so deeply. They are not only describing your experience, they are helping create it. Think about how many mornings begin with the same old phrases. I am tired. I cannot do this. I am already behind. Nothing is changing. I am not ready. It will probably be another hard day. These thoughts may feel normal because they have been repeated so many times. They may feel true because they are familiar. But familiar does not always mean true. Sometimes familiar only means practiced. Sometimes it only means your mind has walked the same road for so long that it no longer questions where it is going. And yet, every road repeated becomes easier to travel. Every thought repeated becomes easier to believe. Every phrase spoken often enough begins to feel like fact, even when it is only an old habit. Your mind is always listening to the words you repeat. your body is listening too. When you begin your day with harsh words, the body tightens. The breath gets smaller. The chest becomes heavy. The mind begins preparing for stress before anything has even happened. You start the day already leaning toward disappointment, already expecting struggle, already bracing for proof that your worst thoughts about yourself are correct. But when your morning words are different, your whole system responds differently. A kind word softens the nervous system. A trusting thought opens the breath. A peaceful phrase gives your heart more room to stay steady. Your words are not magic in some distant way. They are medicine in a direct way. They affect how you feel, how you think, and how you move through the next hour and then the next. This is why it is so important to understand that your words are seeds. Every thought you plant in the morning grows through the day. If you plant fear, fear will grow. If you plant criticism, criticism will spread into everything. If you plant hopelessness, your energy will begin to match it. But if you plant trust, something steadier begins to grow. If you plant worth, your day begins with more dignity. If you plant calm, your whole being begins to move with less pressure. And if you plant confidence, even gently, even before you fully feel it, confidence begins to take root. Many people wait until they feel better before they speak better to themselves. They say, "Once I feel more confident, then I will use stronger words. Once I feel calmer, then I will speak with peace. Once I believe in myself more, then I will stop speaking with doubt." But your words are not only the result of how you feel. They are also one of the ways your feelings begin to change. You do not have to wait for a different inner life before you choose different language. In truth, changing your language is one of the first steps toward changing your inner life. You begin by saying what you want your spirit to learn. You begin by giving your heart a new place to stand. You begin by offering your mind new instructions. If you wake up and immediately say, "Today will be too much," your mind starts looking for signs that this is true. Every challenge feels bigger. Every small delay feels like a problem. Every hard moment feels like evidence. But if you wake up and say, "I will meet this day with calm," then something changes. Your attention begins to notice different things. Your breath becomes more useful to you. Your mind becomes a little less dramatic. Your body becomes a little less guarded. You are still living the same life, perhaps with the same tasks and the same responsibilities, but you are meeting it from a different inner place. That different inner place changes more than most people realize. Words shape expectation. Expectation shapes energy. Energy shapes experience. This is why two people can walk into the same kind of day and live it so differently. One begins the morning already defeated, already criticizing themselves, already expecting the worst, and the whole day feels like a battle. Another begins with steadiness, with self-respect, with one or two simple truths. And even though the day may still have challenges, they move through it with more grace. The difference is not always the outer world. Very often it is the inner language. It is the atmosphere created by the words spoken first thing in the morning. And this does not mean you lie to yourself. It does not mean you must wake up pretending everything is perfect when it is not. It does not mean you deny your feelings or force cheerful words you cannot connect with. It means you choose words that support life instead of draining it. It means you stop feeding the mind language that makes you weaker. It means you stop repeating pain as if repetition makes it wisdom. You can be honest and still be kind. You can admit that you feel tired without declaring yourself powerless. You can admit that today may be challenging without deciding that you are not enough for it. You can tell the truth without turning against yourself. There is a big difference between saying, "I feel nervous," and saying, "I always fail." There is a big difference between saying, "Today may stretch me," and saying, "I cannot handle life." One kind of language leaves room for strength. The other tries to close every door before the day has even opened. This is why becoming aware of your own words is so powerful. Once you hear them clearly, you begin to see what they have been doing to you. You begin to notice how often your mind has been speaking in ways that create heaviness. You begin to notice how casually you have repeated sentences that weaken your spirit. And that awareness becomes a turning point, because once you notice the language, you can begin to change it. Morning is such a sacred time for this work because the mind is still soft. It is still close to the deeper layers of belief. What you say during that quiet beginning of the day can go in very deeply. That is why so many people wake up feeling the mood of what they told themselves the day before. The mind remembers repetition. The body remembers tone. The subconscious listens most closely when you are still waking, still soft, still open. So if your first inner voice is one of criticism, the whole day begins under that sound. But if your first inner voice is one of trust, even a little trust, then the day begins with something far more healing. You may not realize how often you speak to yourself in ways you would never speak to someone you love. You may look in the mirror and think, "Not enough." You may face a task and think, "I will mess this up." You may remember a past mistake and think, "Nothing really changes for me." And because these thoughts happen so quickly, they can seem invisible, but the body feels them, the heart feels them. And over time, they begin to shape the whole pattern of your day. This is why changing your life often begins with changing the private sentences you repeat when no one else is listening. Imagine beginning the day with different words. Imagine waking and saying, "I am grateful for this new day. I trust myself to meet what comes. I do not need to rush into fear. I am allowed to begin with peace. I am enough for this moment. I am learning, growing, and becoming stronger. These are not just pleasant sayings. They are directions. They tell your mind where to go. They tell your body what kind of day it is entering. They tell your spirit what kind of relationship you are willing to have with yourself. And slowly, with repetition, they begin to build a new inner home. A peaceful day is very often made of peaceful beginnings. A confident day is often built from confident words spoken before the world begins making its demands. This does not mean the whole day will always be easy, but it does mean you will meet the day from a different place. Instead of reacting from fear, you respond from steadiness. Instead of shrinking immediately, you stay present a little longer. Instead of turning every challenge into proof that you are failing, you begin to see challenges as moments you can move through with grace. Your words help make that possible. And this is one of the most important truths to remember. Your inner voice becomes your daily environment. It becomes the emotional room you live in. If that room is filled with criticism, pressure, and self-doubt, then even beautiful moments can feel hard to receive. But if that room begins to fill with kindness, respect, and trust, then even difficult moments become easier to move through. You are creating that room every morning with the words you choose. You are deciding whether your day begins in attack or in support, in fear or in grounding, in self-rejection or in self-belief. You do not have to change every thought in one morning. You do not have to become perfect at this. You only have to begin noticing. Begin hearing yourself. Begin catching the old phrases that have become automatic. Begin asking, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Is this sentence building my day or breaking it down? Is this inner voice speaking like fear or is it speaking like truth? And when you notice a thought that weakens you, pause. Breathe. Choose again. That small pause matters. That moment of choosing again is how a new inner day begins. Let your morning words become more intentional. Let them become a kind of blessing over your own life. Let them become a new agreement between you and yourself. You do not need to wake up and hand your mind over to old patterns. You do not need to begin the day by repeating what has hurt you. You can choose new seeds. You can choose new language. You can choose to begin this day with words that create space for peace, confidence, and strength to grow. And when you do, your whole day begins to change from the inside out. There are so many people walking into a new day while still carrying the weight of an old voice. They wake up in the morning, but their thoughts are still living in yesterday. Their body is in today, but their inner language is full of old pain, old fear, old judgment, and old stories about who they think they are. Before the day has a chance to unfold, self-doubt has already arrived. It starts early. It whispers that you are behind. It tells you that nothing has really changed. It reminds you of mistakes that should have been released long ago. It looks at your present moment through the eyes of old hurt and tries to convince you that this day must be lived under the same shadow as before. But that is not truth. That is habit. And habits can be changed. Self-doubt is often not as loud as people imagine. Sometimes it is not a dramatic voice. Sometimes it is very quiet. It sounds like hesitation. It sounds like second guessing. It sounds like maybe I should stay small. Maybe I should not try. Maybe I am not ready. Maybe other people can do this, but not me. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should hold back. Maybe I am asking for too much. Maybe I am too much. These thoughts may seem simple, but they shape your energy in deep ways. They make your spirit pull inward. They make your heart less open. They make you meet life with caution instead of trust. And when repeated often enough, they become the lens through which you see yourself. Many people think self-doubt begins because they are not enough. But very often, self-doubt begins because somewhere along the way, they learned to question themselves before life had even asked them to. Maybe they learned it through criticism. Maybe they learned it through comparison. Maybe they learned it through disappointment. Maybe they learned it through years of trying to please everyone and slowly losing connection with their own inner truth. Self-doubt is often learned. It is practiced. It becomes familiar. And because it becomes familiar, it begins to feel natural. But familiar is not the same as holy. Familiar is not the same as wise. Familiar is not the same as true. The beautiful thing is that whatever has been learned can be unlearned. Whatever has been repeated can be replaced. Whatever old voice has lived inside you does not have to keep leading your life. You do not have to carry yesterday's doubt into today's light. You do not have to let old fear decide the meaning of this new morning. A new day is not only a change in time. It is an invitation to choose again. It is an opening. It is a doorway. It is life saying, here is another chance to begin from a different place. And that beginning starts by noticing what you are still carrying that no longer belongs in your hands. Self-doubt can feel so convincing because it usually comes dressed as protection. It says, do not try so you do not get hurt. Do not trust yourself so you do not get disappointed. Do not speak up so you do not get judged. Do not believe too much so failure hurts less. It sounds careful, it sounds safe, but the cost is high. The cost is your freedom. The cost is your voice. The cost is your peace. The cost is the shrinking of your own spirit. A life ruled by self-doubt may feel protected in small ways, but it becomes painfully limited in deeper ways. You stop asking for what you need. You stop believing in what is possible. You stop moving with openness. You begin living as if your whole purpose is to avoid being wrong instead of allowing yourself to be fully alive. That is why release matters so much. There comes a moment when you must say, I cannot keep carrying this old way of speaking to myself. I cannot keep beginning my day with the same tired doubt. I cannot keep making fear sound like wisdom. I cannot keep treating uncertainty as proof that I am weak. There comes a time when the soul grows tired of living under harsh beliefs. There comes a time when your spirit asks for air, for light, for a softer truth. And maybe that is where you are now. Maybe you are ready to stop dragging yesterday's self-image into today's possibilities. Maybe you are ready to put down what has been making your heart feel so heavy. Picture for a moment that self-doubt is something you have been carrying in your hands, not because you wanted to, but because you got used to its weight. At first, maybe it felt small. A few uncertain thoughts here and there, a little hesitation, a little fear. But over time it grew heavier. It started shaping how you saw yourself. It started deciding what you thought you could handle. It started making choices for you. It began to feel like a constant part of your life. But what if it does not belong to you anymore? What if you have carried it long enough? What if today is the day you begin to loosen your grip? Release does not always happen in one dramatic moment. Sometimes it begins with a simple refusal, a quiet no. No, I will not repeat that sentence again. No, I will not begin this day by telling myself I cannot. No, I will not use old pain to predict today's outcome. No, I will not keep speaking to myself as if I am fragile in all the wrong ways. And then, just as important, comes the new yes. Yes, I am willing to learn a different way. Yes, I am willing to speak to myself with more honesty and less fear. Yes, I am willing to believe that I do not need doubt in order to stay safe. Yes, I am willing to move through this day without handing all my power to an old voice. You do not have to be harsh with yourself when you notice self-doubt. You do not have to attack yourself for still feeling uncertain. That only creates another layer of pain. Release does not come through violence. It comes through awareness and choice. It comes through noticing the old voice and saying, I hear you, but you do not lead me anymore. It comes through catching the old pattern before it grows too loud. It comes through being gentle enough with yourself that healing becomes possible. Self-doubt often grew in a place where tenderness was missing. It will not fully leave through more harshness. It begins to loosen when you create an inner space where support is stronger than fear. This is why a new day matters so much. Every morning gives you a chance to interrupt the old pattern before it becomes the mood of the day. Before self-doubt fills your chest, before it shapes your choices, before it steals your peace. Morning is a threshold, and what you carry across that threshold matters. You can carry old judgment, or you can carry a new willingness. You can carry the voice of past fear, or you can carry the beginning of self-trust. You can carry pressure, or you can carry peace. The day does not force the choice, but it gives you the opportunity to make one. Some people believe that if they release self-doubt, they will become careless. They think doubt keeps them sharp. They think criticism keeps them improving. They think fear makes them responsible. But this is not true in the deepest way. Fear can push, yes. Criticism can drive, yes. Doubt can force movement, yes. But they do not create peace. They do not create wholeness. They do not create the kind of inner life that allows a person to thrive. You do not need to doubt yourself in order to grow. You do not need to speak cruelly to yourself in order to become wiser. Growth can happen through love. Progress can happen through trust. Responsibility can exist without self-hate. In fact, the strongest growth often happens when the heart no longer wastes so much energy fighting itself. So let this be your invitation now. Leave yesterday where it belongs. Leave the old labels where they belong. Leave the story that says you are always falling behind. Leave the voice that tells you you will never be enough. Leave the thought that says this is just how you are. None of that has to cross into this new day with you. You are allowed to enter this morning without carrying all the old weight. You are allowed to step into today lighter. Not because everything is solved, but because you no longer agree to let old self-doubt shape every new beginning. Say quietly within yourself, this is a new moment. Let those words create space inside you. This is a new moment. Yesterday does not have to speak for today. Old fear does not have to write today's story. Old pain does not have to decide today's worth. This is a new moment. And then say, I release the need to doubt myself. Even if the words feel new, let them be spoken. I release the need to doubt myself. I release the old voice that tells me I am not enough. I release the pressure to carry yesterday into today. Let those words be gentle, but let them also be true in intention. The soul hears willingness. As you move through the day, self-doubt may still try to return. That is all right. Release is not forgetting. Release is returning again and again to the truth you have chosen. When the old thought rises, breathe. When the old fear speaks, pause. When the old habit tries to lead, answer it with something new. I am learning to trust myself. I do not need to believe every doubtful thought. I am allowed to begin again in this moment. Each time you do this, you weaken the old path. Each time you do this, you teach your heart that self-doubt is not the only voice available. This is how a new self-image begins. Not in one giant victory, but in many small, holy moments where you stop handing your day over to an old belief. Many small moments where you choose to stand with yourself. Many small moments where you allow the day to be new instead of forcing it to repeat the pain of the past. Release happens here, in awareness, in breath, in the courage to choose a different sentence, in the willingness to stop calling old fear your identity, in the quiet strength it takes to say, I am no longer carrying this into the next hour of my life. And the more you practice this release, the more you begin to feel something different inside. Space, lightness, a little more room in your chest, a little more honesty in your posture, a little less tension in the way you meet the day. The old voice may not disappear all at once, but it no longer feels like the whole truth. Another voice begins to grow beside it, a voice of trust, a voice of steadiness, a voice that says, I am still becoming, but I do not need to doubt myself every step of the way. That voice is healing. That voice is strength. That voice is the beginning of a new life lived with less fear and more freedom. There is something powerful that happens when a thought leaves the hidden space of your mind and becomes a spoken word. It changes form. It becomes more real. It begins to move through your body in a new way. When you speak a belief out loud, your ears hear it, your chest feels it, your breath carries it, and your body begins to respond. Spoken words do not stay trapped in the mind. They become vibration. They become sound. They travel through you. That is why speaking confidence out loud can be so deeply healing. You are not only thinking a better thought, you are giving your whole being a new message to live by. Many people keep their better thoughts quiet. They may wish to trust themselves more. They may hope to feel stronger. They may want to believe in themselves, but they leave those thoughts unspoken, almost as if they do not yet deserve a voice. Meanwhile, the fearful thoughts are often spoken easily. I am not ready. I always do this wrong. I am not enough. I do not know what I am doing. Nothing really changes. These words are spoken casually, sometimes without even noticing, and because they are spoken so often, they begin to shape identity. The mouth keeps repeating what the mind has practiced, and the body begins to live inside that pattern. This is why speaking new beliefs aloud matters. It interrupts the old script. It gives your heart another truth to hear. When you speak confidence out loud, even softly, even before you fully believe it, you begin to create a new inner rhythm. You begin to train your system in a different direction. You begin to say, I will no longer let fear be the loudest voice in my life. I will no longer let doubt have the only microphone. I will no longer keep my strength silent while my insecurity speaks all day long. There is such quiet courage in using your own voice to bless your own life. There is such healing in letting your body hear words of trust spoken from your own mouth. This does not mean you must shout. It does not mean you must perform. It does not mean you must force a dramatic energy that does not feel natural to you. A whisper can be powerful. A calm voice can be powerful. A simple sentence spoken with intention can be powerful. What matters is not how loud the words are. What matters is that they are spoken with willingness. What matters is that they begin to replace the language that has kept you small. What matters is that your body hears something new. Your mind may question at first. Old habits may resist, but the body is listening. The subconscious is listening. Life is listening. Say something as simple as, "I trust myself." Say it slowly. Notice what happens inside you. Maybe part of you softens. Maybe part of you resists. Maybe the words feel beautiful. Maybe they feel unfamiliar. All of that is all right. New beliefs often feel unfamiliar before they feel natural. That does not mean they are false. It often means they are fresh. It often means they are entering a place in you that has not heard this kind of truth often enough. Keep going. Say, "I trust myself." Let the words land in your chest. Let them travel through the body. Let them exist in the air around you. Let them become a sound your heart can remember. Then say, "I am enough for this day." Not because everything is easy, not because you know everything, not because you have no fear, but because you are here, because you are breathing, because you are growing. Because enoughness is not earned through perfection. It is remembered through truth. Speak the words, "I am enough for this day." Feel how different that is from saying, "I am already failing." Feel how different it is from beginning your morning with lack. One sentence opens the body. The other tightens it. One sentence makes space for grace. The other makes the whole day feel like a trial. Speaking new beliefs aloud changes the emotional weather inside you. Your voice carries power because your body recognizes it. There is something about hearing your own voice say kind, strong, and peaceful words that reaches deeper than silent thought alone. You have heard your own criticism so many times. You have heard your own doubt. You have heard your own fear. Imagine how healing it is for your system to hear your own voice say, "I believe in myself. I am safe to trust my path. I welcome this day with confidence." These are not just phrases. They are directions. They are patterns. They are instructions offered to your deeper mind. The more often they are spoken, the more familiar they become. And the more familiar they become, the more natural they begin to feel. Many people ask how to believe in a new thought when the old one still feels strong. The answer is practice, repetition, gentle willingness, You do not need to feel complete certainty before you speak a new belief. In many cases, speaking it is part of how certainty begins to grow. Every time you say, "I trust myself," you are watering that seed. Every time you say, "I am growing stronger," you are watering that seed. Every time you say, "I can meet this day with peace," you are watering that seed. At first, it may feel small, but every seed repeated begins to take root. What is spoken often enough begins to shape the inner world. This is why the morning is such a powerful time for spoken beliefs. The day is still open. The mind is still soft. The old noise has not yet fully taken over. There is room to create the tone of the day before outside voices begin to speak. Before the messages, before the pressure, before the lists, before the reactions, there is this opportunity to use your own voice in service of your own peace. What a gift that is! What a holy kind of power! To begin the day by saying something true and kind over your own life. To begin the day by reminding yourself that you are not here to live under the rule of old doubt. You are here to rise in a new language. Try speaking a few simple beliefs aloud, slowly, one at a time. I am calm. I am ready for this day. I trust my inner voice. I do not need to be perfect to be worthy. I speak with peace and strength. I welcome this day with confidence. Let each sentence have space. Let each one breathe. Do not rush them. Do not turn them into a task. Let them feel like nourishment. Let them feel like warm light entering the room of your mind. Let them feel like a hand on your heart. The power is not in saying many things quickly. The power is in saying a few true things with presence. And if your mind pushes back, do not be discouraged. If you say, "I believe in myself," and another voice quickly says, "No, you do not," that is all right. It does not mean you failed. It means the old pattern is being noticed. It means the old voice realizes it is no longer the only voice speaking. Do not argue with it too much. Simply come back. Say the new truth again. A little slower, a little more gently. I believe in myself. Even if belief is still growing, let the words stay. Even if your heart is still learning, let the truth be spoken. The old pattern was built through repetition. The new one will be built the same way. Speaking new beliefs aloud also changes how you carry yourself through the day. A person who begins the morning by saying, "I trust myself," does not move in exactly the same way as a person who begins with, "I cannot handle life." A person who says, "I am enough for this day," does not carry the same emotional weight as someone who begins by saying, "I am already behind." Words shape posture. Words shape breath. Words shape readiness. They tell the body whether to brace or to open. They tell the heart whether to shrink or to stand. That is why your spoken beliefs are not separate from your daily life. They become part of how you live it. There is also something deeply spiritual about speaking truth out loud. It is an act of agreement, an act of alignment, an act of saying, I choose which words will have authority in my life. I choose which voice I will strengthen. I choose what kind of energy I will send into this day. Speaking confidence aloud is not ego. It is not pretending. It is not denial. It is a sacred form of inner leadership. It is the decision to use your own mouth to support your own becoming. It is the choice to speak life where fear once had so much room. You do not need a long list if that feels heavy. You may only need one sentence that you return to again and again. One sentence that steadies you. One sentence that becomes your anchor. It might be, I trust myself. It might be, I am enough. It might be, I welcome this day with peace. It might be, I believe in who I am becoming. Let that sentence become part of your breathing. Let it become part of your morning. Let it be spoken while you get ready, while you stand by a window, while you place your hand on your heart. Let your day hear your truth before the world tells you who to be. And as you keep speaking these new beliefs, something beautiful begins to happen. They stop feeling borrowed. They stop feeling distant. They stop sounding like words you are trying to make fit. Slowly, they begin to feel like home. Your body starts to soften around them. Your mind begins to stop fighting them so much. Your heart begins to recognize them. You begin to notice that confidence is no longer only something you are trying to reach. It is becoming something you are learning to speak, and through speaking, something you are learning to live. So let your voice be part of your healing. Let your own ears hear your courage. Let your own body hear your kindness. Let your own morning be shaped by the beliefs you choose to speak. Not the old ones that kept you doubting. Not the tired ones that made your spirit small, but the new ones, the true ones. The ones that create room for trust, for peace, for strength, and for the quiet confidence that comes when you finally begin using your voice to stand with yourself instead of against yourself. Now imagine that a soft golden light is beginning to rise inside your chest. It is warm, gentle, and steady. It is not rushing. It is not trying to prove anything. It is simply there, glowing quietly in the center of you. This light is your confidence, not loud confidence, not forced confidence, not the kind that needs applause. This is calm confidence. This is the kind of confidence that comes from truth. The kind that reminds you that you do not need to become someone else in order to trust yourself. The kind that says you are already allowed to stand in your own life with peace. See this light growing a little stronger with each breath. As you breathe in, it becomes warmer. As you breathe out, it spreads through your body. It moves through your chest, into your shoulders, down your arms, into your hands. It rises into your throat, softening the place where so many words have been held back. It reaches your face, your eyes, your forehead, deep, relaxing the places where worry tries to live. This light is not trying to change you into someone unnatural. It is simply reminding you of what has always been within you. Confidence is not being added to you from the outside. It is waking up from the inside. Imagine that this golden light knows exactly where you need it most. It moves gently to the places where old fear has been sitting. It touches the memories that made you question yourself. It reaches the tight places in your body where doubt has been stored. It does not fight those places. It does not judge them. It simply warms them. It simply brings softness where there has been pressure. It simply brings peace where there has been strain. This is how real confidence works. It does not attack your weakness. It meets it with care. It does not shame your fear. It surrounds it with trust until fear no longer feels like the ruler of your life. See yourself standing in the light of a new morning. The air is calm. The sky is open. There is no need to rush. You are standing there as you are, not pretending, not hiding, not trying to become more than human. And yet there is something different in the way you stand. Your shoulders are softer, but stronger. Your breath is deeper. Your heart is steadier. Your eyes are clearer. You are not waiting for permission anymore. You are not asking the whole world to tell you who you are. You are simply standing in your own presence, letting the light inside you remind you that you belong here. Now imagine that this golden light begins to expand just beyond your body. It forms a gentle field around you like a soft shield of calm strength. This is the energy you carry into the day. It is not hard. It is not defensive. It is peaceful and steady. It says, I know who I am. I do not need to shrink. I do not need to prove. I do not need to fear every step. I can move through this day with trust. And as you imagine this light around you, notice how different the day begins to feel. The tasks ahead do not feel quite as heavy. The unknown does not feel quite as threatening. The old self-doubt does not feel as convincing, because confidence is not only a thought now, it is becoming a feeling. It is becoming a presence. Picture yourself walking into your day with this light still glowing in your chest. You speak, and your words come from calm. You make decisions, and your choices come from steadiness. You face the unexpected, and instead of immediately collapsing into doubt, you return to this inner light. You remember that you are supported from within. You remember that you can breathe before reacting. You remember that peace is stronger than panic. This visualization is not fantasy. It is practice. It is teaching your mind and body what confidence feels like when it is rooted in trust instead of fear. There may have been many days in your life when you walked into the morning already feeling small, already feeling that you had to protect yourself from everything, already feeling that your mistakes were waiting for you. But this day can be different. You can choose to enter it carrying legs instead of weight. You can choose to let confidence feel like warmth instead of pressure. You can choose to let this golden light become a quiet reminder that your strength is not somewhere far away. It is already within you, waiting to be noticed, waiting to be trusted, waiting to be lived. So take one more breath and see that light again. Feel it glowing in your chest. Feel it spreading through your body. Feel it surrounding you with calm. And say softly within yourself, "This light is my confidence. It lives within me. I carry it with peace." Let that truth stay with you. Let that image become something you return to whenever the day feels heavy. Whenever your mind begins to rush toward fear, come back to the golden light. Come back to your breath. Come back to the steady warmth inside you. Confidence is here. Confidence is alive in you. Confidence is already speaking through your calm heart. As you move through this day, there are simple truths that can help keep your spirit steady. They are not complicated. They do not need hard words. They do not require perfect understanding. They are quiet truths you can carry like small lights in your pocket, bringing you back to yourself whenever old doubt begins to rise. These truths are simple, but they are powerful because they help you return to what is real. They help you return to the kind of confidence that does not depend on outside approval. They help you remember that peace and strength can walk together. The first truth is this: you do not need to prove your worth. Worth is not something you earn through pressure. It is not something that appears only after success. It is not something other people get to hand to you. Your worth is already here. It is already living in you. It does not disappear when you make a mistake. It does not shrink when someone misunderstands you. It does not vanish on the days when you feel uncertain. You do not need to wake up every morning and build your value from nothing. You only need to remember it. You only need to stop speaking as if your worth is always in danger. The second truth is this: you are already enough. Enough for this moment. Enough for this day. Enough to begin before you feel fully ready. Enough to take one step and then another. So many people keep waiting to become enough. They wait until they know more, do more, fix more, heal more. They imagine that one day they will finally arrive at some perfect version of themselves, and only then will they deserve peace. But enoughness does not begin in the future. It begins in the now. It begins in the quiet decision to stop measuring your value against impossible ideas. You are already enough to be here, already enough to try, already enough to trust yourself more than you did yesterday. The third truth is this: you are safe to believe in yourself. This may seem simple, but for many hearts it is deeply healing. Some people were taught that trusting themselves was dangerous. They learned to question every instinct, doubt every desire, and silence every inner knowing. They learned to believe that self-belief would lead to disappointment or rejection. But you are safe to believe in yourself. You are safe to listen to your own inner voice. You are safe to let trust grow where fear has lived for too long. Believing in yourself is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the healing of a divided heart. The fourth truth is this: you do not need to know everything to move forward. Self-doubt often tries to convince you that you must have the whole map before taking a single step. It says, do not begin until you can guarantee the outcome. Do not move until you are sure. Do not trust until there is no uncertainty left. But life does not work that way. Growth rarely comes with complete answers. Confidence is not knowing everything. Confidence is trusting that you can meet what comes with wisdom, patience, and grace. Confidence is knowing that you do not need total control in order to be safe. You only need presence. You only need the next honest step. The fifth truth is this: your inner voice matters more than outside noise. The world will always have opinions. Some voices will encourage you. Some voices will confuse you. Some voices will try to tell you who you should be. If you build your confidence only on what the outside world says, your peace will rise and fall all day long. But when you begin to trust your own inner voice, something steadier is born. You stop giving so much power to every opinion. You stop changing your worth every time someone sees you differently. You begin to live from within instead of always reacting from without. This is one of the deepest forms of freedom. The sixth truth is this: calm is strength. You do not need to become harder in order to be confident. You do not need to become louder, sharper, or colder. There is great strength in calm. There is great power in a peaceful heart. There is great courage in a person who can remain rooted in truth without being pushed around by fear. The world sometimes confuses noise with strength, but your spirit knows better. Calm is not weakness. Calm is alignment. Calm is what happens when you stop wasting energy fighting yourself. Calm is what allows your true confidence to rise without force. The seventh truth is this: mistakes do not cancel your worth. One hard moment does not mean you are failing. One wrong choice does not mean you are broken. One difficult season does not mean you cannot trust yourself again. Self-doubt loves to use mistakes as proof that you should stay small forever. But mistakes are part of being human. They are part of learning. They are part of growing. They are not the end of your value. They are not the end of your story. You do not need to wear every past mistake like a name. You are allowed to learn, release, and keep moving with dignity. The eighth truth is this: your day changes when your self-talk changes. This truth may sound simple, but it reaches into everything. If you move through the day speaking to yourself with harshness, pressure, and criticism, your energy becomes heavy. But when you begin to speak with patience, with trust, with kindness, something inside you begins to soften and strengthen at the same time. You become more available for peace. You become more open to wise choices. You stop turning every challenge into proof that you are not enough. This is why confidence is not only a feeling, it is a practice. It is built in the language you choose again and again. The ninth truth is this: you are allowed to take up space in your own life. You do not have to shrink to make others comfortable. You do not have to hide your gifts. You do not have to silence your needs. You do not have to live like a guest in your own spirit. Confidence is not domination. It is presence. It is being fully there in your own life. It is allowing your voice, your energy, your truth, and your worth to exist without apology. You are allowed to be seen. You are allowed to be here. You are allowed to trust that your life is meant to be lived, not hidden. The 10th truth is this: today is a new chance. No matter what yesterday looked like, today is still here. No matter how many times you doubted yourself before, today is still open. No matter how long you have lived with old fear, today offers a new beginning. This moment is not asking you to erase your whole past. It is simply asking if you are willing to live this day a little differently, a little more gently, a little more honestly, a little more confidently, a little more in tune with the truth that you do not need to carry the old voice forever. Carry these truths through your day like quiet companions. Return to them when your mind begins to race. Return to them when old self-doubt knocks at the door. Return to them when you forget your center. They are simple, but they are steady. They will help guide you back to your own strength again and again. And the more often you return to them, the more natural confidence begins to feel. Not as something you are pretending to have, but as something you are finally allowing yourself to live. Now let these words move through you slowly, gently, and clearly. Let them become part of your breathing. Let them settle into your heart. Let them speak to the part of you that is ready to trust more, soften more, and believe more. You do not need to force anything. You only need to let these words enter and stay. I believe in myself. I trust the wisdom within me. I am enough for this day. I welcome this day with confidence. I am calm, steady, and strong. I do not need to prove my worth. My worth is already here. I trust myself to take the next step. I release the old voice of self-doubt. I speak to myself with kindness and truth. I am safe to trust my own path. I carry peace into everything I do. I am learning, growing, and becoming stronger. I do not need to be perfect to be worthy. I allow confidence to rise within me. My voice matters. My presence matters. My life matters. I am grounded in peace. I move through this day with trust. I choose confidence over fear. I choose calm over pressure. I choose truth over old doubt. I choose to stand beside myself. I believe in who I am becoming. I welcome good into this day. I trust that I can meet what comes. I speak with peace, strength, and love. I am ready for this day. I am supported by life. I am open to confidence, peace, and joy. I walk with quiet strength. I honor my own worth. I no longer need to make myself small. I allow myself to be seen. I trust my heart. I trust my growth. I trust this moment. I begin this day in peace. I begin this day in self-respect. I begin this day with confidence. Let these words continue to echo softly inside you. If one of them reaches your heart more deeply, hold on to it. Repeat it again. Let it become your anchor. Let it travel with you through the next hour and then the next. The more often you return to these words, the more natural they begin to feel. The more naturally they begin to feel, the more clearly confidence starts to live in you, not only as a thought, but as a way of being. As you move through this day, remember that confidence does not need to be forced. It does not need to be loud. It does not need to arrive as perfection. It can be gentle. It can be quiet. It can begin in the way you breathe, in the way you speak to yourself, in the way you choose to trust your own heart a little more than you did before. You do not have to become a different person before you can begin living with confidence. You only need to stop speaking against yourself. You only need to stop giving old doubt all the power. You only need to remember that strength can be soft and peace can be powerful. This day is not asking you to prove your value. It is not asking you to earn your worth. It is not asking you to be flawless before you begin. It is simply asking you to be present, to be honest, to be willing, to let your words carry healing instead of fear, to let your thoughts create support instead of struggle, to let your inner voice become a place where confidence can grow. And every time you choose a kinder thought, a calmer breath, a more trusting word, you are building that confidence from the inside out. There may still be moments today when old doubt tries to return. There may still be moments when your mind moves toward fear. That does not mean you have failed. It only means you are still learning. And in those moments, come back to your breath. Come back to the golden light in your chest. Come back to the simple truth that you are enough for this day. Come back to the words that steady you. Come back to the part of you that knows how to begin again. Confidence is not lost because you have one hard moment. Confidence lives in your willingness to return to trust again and again. So walk into this day with a softer heart and a steadier spirit. Let your words be kind. Let your thoughts be clear. Let your breath remind you that you are supported. Let your confidence rise not from pressure, but from truth. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not missing what you need. The strength you are looking for is already within you, waiting for your own voice to call it forward. Believe in yourself today, not because life is perfect, but because you are worthy of walking through it with peace. And so, before this day carries you into all its moments, pause one more time and remember what is true. Confidence is already within you. It is not something you must chase. It is not something the world must hand to you. It is something you awaken through the way you think, the way you breathe, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you choose to stand with your own heart. Let today be the day you stop beginning with self-doubt and start beginning with trust. Let today be the day you speak words that heal instead of words that weaken. Let today be the day you remember that you are enough, you are worthy, and you are safe to believe in yourself. Carry that truth gently. Carry it honestly. Carry it into every part of this day. And let your life be shaped little by little by the confidence you are now willing to speak, feel, and live.